Hi, good morning. Welcome to another episode of the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Carr. This is the perfect guide as you go through the AFCON 2023 tournament in La Côte d'Ivoire. This is the program that helps you enjoy everything that's happening on the pitch with great previews, wonderful reviews, great chit-chat, some great tactical analysis, what you're saying on social, and everything in between. So many thanks for joining us. You can send in your thoughts and comments on the WhatsApp number right on your screens, and then we'll go through as many of those comments as possible before the show comes to an end. It's a packed show. We have the next 2 or so hours to go through all of that. So please hop on, join us, and let's have a wonderful time. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. We'll take a very quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests and we get the show off the ground. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. Many thanks for joining us. It's been a very interesting start to the competition. We hope that the fun continues. The very interesting results will continue right up until the very end. Let me introduce my guests for today. They are regulars and I usually have them around. Sednam Edmond is here. Edmond, how are you doing? I'm all right. And Kwame Safo is here. Kwame, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Looking dapper as usual.
As usual. The drip is eternal.
The drip has to be eternal.
Eternal.
Yeah, forever and ever. All right, interesting start. We'll get into the football because some games were played yesterday. But let's start off with some Ghana-related news. Now, some fans in La Côte d'Ivoire are not happy. So there are two broad fan stories. One has to do with fans who say they have been left unattended to. They say they've been deserted and they want to come home. The other set of fans, the other set is not happy with the Black Stars. The Black Stars played on Sunday night, but as of Monday night, some fans were still very upset with Coach Chris Hughton and the players and all of that. Very interesting things coming in from Côte d'Ivoire. Let's have a look really at very interesting video really of the said attack. Now the story is that some fans or a fan attacked the Black Stars head coach. I'm sure many people have heard the stories. We've heard some responses from the GFA. Guys, let me take your thoughts on this very, I won't say interesting, but slightly worrying turn of events where fans are at the team hotel and they are almost accosting the manager for the poor result on Sunday. Edmond?
Well, the narrative that's coming out is that someone attacked someone. Now they're trying to massage the situation for it to be like, oh, he was trying to whisper something into his ear. Whether whispering something into his ear, attacking the person, it's wrong to attack someone on all fronts in the first place. In as much as the performance has not been good, physical attack cannot be justified. Mm-hmm. It's a no. But everybody in play is to blame. Okay. A portion goes to the GFA, a portion goes to the fan who also attacked. The team has been kept in, quote unquote, some form of isolation away from the fans, and the fans want to vent. But it's a bad way of venting.
I see.
It's bad to attack someone. Because of football, it's bad.
I see.
The results are not good. How do we improve it? By changing stuff. But attacking personnel, it doesn't help.
I see.
It doesn't help.
Safo, your thoughts?
I read a tweet from our colleague Benjamin in Côte d'Ivoire, and what Benjamin stated was that it wasn't necessarily an attack. He told the coach to sit up or leave, perform or leave. But with my little understanding or my basic understanding in legalese, I mean, you do not need to see someone hit someone before you call that an attack, because the legal definition of an assault is putting someone in reasonable apprehension of a danger or fear of being touched. So if you went to whisper, even your demeanor in your approach in the case of Tubaville and Savage, but not to bore you with all the legalese is wrong. I mean, it's wrong. These are things you do not want to hear. I saw some foreign outlets carrying the story. When it broke first, I mean, we were not getting clarity to the story. They said the person was arrested because he attacked. It's just disgraceful. I was telling my friend, AFCON every tournament and something we bring home. I mean, if you are angry, it doesn't justify it. And I get what Sedinam is saying about they creating a bubble, because it's, Godfred said something on this breakfast show about how when the team is closer to the fans, they know the frustrations the fans are going through. But it seems because there's this bubble, it's like they're living in isolation or a world of their own. Either way, it still doesn't justify you going to the team camp, whether the person should sit up or leave. They are the technical men. They have done. I'm sure they will do an in-game. They were by their demeanor, you could see that they were all disappointed with the results. Your frustration on them doesn't bring anything.
Do you think in tournament settings, fans should be allowed, access to the team hotel?
Seriously, no.
Okay.
There should be a place where they could meet, but not their abode, not where you stay. No.
Okay.
Where you stay is different. In as much as you're on a national mission, where you stay, that's still your private area. You still need some amount of privacy. Just like most people know where the FA president stays.
Yes.
Nobody goes to his house. It's the same thing. Okay. Nobody should be allowed into that enclave. It's their personal space. They should enjoy that private time. But when they come onto the pitch, it is public time. They need to perform.
Okay. Interesting thoughts. All right, so stories surrounding the Black Stars always will interest fans. Look, like we heard from Benjamin in Ketia yesterday, there were no arrests. The truth is that really Coach Chris Hughton physically was not assaulted, but maybe the demeanor of the fan, his body language was not the best. Bottom line is that you'd expect better from the national team. And you can see some fans, and those are some videos there. That's a video there of a gentleman in Ghana colors moving all over the place. The Daniel Amate Black Stars player is being escorted away. And he's looking, the video kind of it gives a fair idea of what went on. Maybe the fan was very frontal in his attack, and you can tell that there's some agitation there as well. Look, we hope that the authorities will look into this and sort out the issue, because what it is that there is an underlying reason. Fans are not happy. And once that fan got the chance to meet the principal actors face to face, he felt that was the best opportunity to let off some steam and let them know how he felt. But bottom line, everybody has their right to speak. But anyone, like I said, we need to draw the line.
Yeah.
I don't think we can allow fans to openly confront players. You never know. You never know what can happen. Somebody may be carrying a weapon and we hear one bad story. So the GFA, look, we expect that you do better. If you can, create an opportunity where, maybe not at the hotel, if you can create an opportunity where fans can get to speak to them, whatever. But just get things right. Of course, we don't condone the attack, which is very, very, very wrong. But we hope that Chris Hughton and his men will do better on Thursday when the Black Stars play Egypt. So we don't have a repeat, guys, because I get the feeling one more bad result. And there could be total chaos.
And possibly anarchy, because people have had it. And yesterday, after the game...
Yeah, this was Sunday or Monday.
No, Monday, after the game. Yes. I was on the street. I had nose masks on and everything, just gauging the atmosphere of people without a microphone. And people had it to their throat.
Yeah.
Any bad result...
You never know what happens next. All right, let's get to Cote d'Ivoire now. Let's speak to our colleague Delali Aute, freelance sports journalist. He's in Cote d'Ivoire as well, doing some very interesting things on social media. Delali, if you can hear me, I'm sure it's still morning in Cote d'Ivoire, so good morning to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm great. I think it's actually 11:10, so basically we are in the morning.
Okay, all right. Anyway, we are on the same time as La Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, you have been there sampling fan opinion, sorry, because you are doing your own social media content and everything. Before we even get into this fan issue and the attack, so far, what have you picked up from the fans you have spoken to, Ghanaians who are there to cheer the Black Stars? What have you sampled from their opinions as they answer your questions on how they feel concerning the Black Stars after Sunday night?
So I think there's two sets of fans here. There's those that came all the way from Ghana. And the truth is most of them drove from Ghana or came by bus to Ivory Coast. So that's a group set of fans. And then there's the set of fans that are Ghanaians, and I say maybe they are Ghanaians and also they are Ivorians. Like some of them either came to Ghana to school and they are back living in Ivory Coast, and there are other Ghanaians here who have lived here for their entire life. So there's a set of fans, those that are Ghanaians, that move all the way from Ivory Coast, Ghana to Ivory Coast. If I drive all the way from Ghana to Ivory Coast, because I came by bus, it's a tedious journey. So when I watch the Black Stars and they lose the game, I get disappointed. There's a video of a small boy that he basically told his mom that he's not coming again to watch the game because the young boy looks through the stress he went through, and now the Black Stars fails to win the game. And then the other set of fans are the Ivorians that have some relationship with Ghana, either came to Ghana to school, or those that are married to Ivorians here, or those that are married to Ghanaians here, or those that live here. For them, their disappointment is that Black Stars are playing in a country that they are closer to. For the first time in the African Cup of Nations, they are getting the chance to watch the Black Stars in a competitive game. So in as much as they would want the host country to win, they would also wish that their national team would perform very well. So this set of fans have reasons to be angry, or I say reasons to be disappointed. And they are legit, because if I drive all the way from Ghana to Ivory Coast and the team fails to beat Cape Verde, and those that live here and they are supporting Ivory Coast, but at the same time, they also want Ghana too. There was one fan who said that he was giving Ivory Coast JC and he said he doesn't like it. He wants to wear Black Stars. He wants to support Black Stars. Now they've lost. He can't go back to work. So it's more like the fans, especially those that are here, they are pretty much a bit disappointed, honestly, because they were expecting a lot. You know, apart from the host country that they would support, some of them feel they are more attached to the Black Stars more because they are Ghanaians. In as much as they've lived here for 20 years, for 10 years, they still feel they are Ghanaians. And that's basically it. However, and I'm surprised, no matter how disappointed they've been, for all of them that I've spoken to for my content, my platform, they are all confident that Ghana will still qualify. And I don't know where they get that from. But in as much as they are disappointed, and that's it's just, and not a single person said that Ghana will go out in the group stages or will not qualify out of the group stages. They are confident that in as much as Ghana failed to beat Comoros, the boys can show up. There was a lady who actually said that some way, somehow, we losing the game gives him confidence because the players are sometimes motivated by defeat. So she's expecting the team to perform well after that defeat. And so basically, they are expecting a reaction from the national team, and fairly unanimously, all the fans here actually want Ghana to move forward because, honestly, they would want to enjoy Black Stars whilst they play long. Because I also spoke to some Ghanaians back home who are planning to come watch the Black Stars. So most of them were hoping that Ghana would win, and then it will influence them to make a decision. I know a lot of people that have cancelled their trip because the Black Stars failed to win. So if Ghana manages to win against Egypt, there are lots of Ghanaians are really going to show up a lot, because Ivory Coast to Ghana is really not a long distance, especially those that can even afford flights. Okay. They can just walk and come here.
All right, Delali, I'm sure, I mean, you are there. We've heard stories of fans at the team hotel and, you know, attacks on Chris Hughton. And okay, what have you heard? And two, what do you think of, I mean, do you think that fans should be giving access to the team hotel? Should fans have access to the Black Stars team hotel where the technical team and the players are residing during the course of, or in the course of the competition?
So first of all, the rumors are there, but yesterday I tried to reach out to Henry, and he said that it's basically a fan who was not pretty much happy with the team's performance. And he basically went there to tell in time, he went to tell the coach his mind.
Okay.
Like, that's exactly. Okay. Based on what Henry told me, it's like somebody who is so happy, he said, Coach Massa, the boy they play, you know they see. So, like, in some, that's what happened.
Okay.
So that's from the official point of view.
Okay.
But in rumors, there was basically confrontation. That's the rumor part. And That's what I would say. But for whether fans, I think, and honestly, sometimes I've always said that the Black Stars, like the players that play for the national team, sometimes they don't know what it means to play for the national team.
Okay.
Honestly, because sometimes like the fans needs to be allowed to express themselves, like their frustration, because they don't get anything from the Black Stars. Like you don't get money when Ghana wins, winning bonus they don't get. What we get is the good results, the feeling, the nostalgia. And when we are angry, sometimes you just need a chance to voice it out to the players. And there was a woman who was very disappointed that they came all the way from Ghana, and even after the game, they did not show up to come and say thank you to them. And Jordan said in one of the interviews that they are disappointed that they didn't show up but at that time, after losing the game, they were all frustrated. But next time they will come and say thank you. I'm not saying fans will be allowed. Maybe it's because of security and all that, so they would not really want them to go there. But I wish that sometimes the journalists here are here to represent the fans. Sometimes, maybe not even just anybody going to the lobby. We can have something organized where fans, like there's a press day. Apart from the normal 15 minutes to the game time, there's something like a press day. Because I think Nigeria, they do it. They allow, Nigeria and Ghana, we have same thing. Some they will say same. Like the issues, Nigeria also, they don't really allow the journalists to be around that much. And what they do is that they have an organized press day where they give the journalists around some few minutes. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 15 minutes to create content around the Black Stars, to create content around the Super Eagles. So Ghana, we can also do that. Maybe just a press day. Allow the journalists around to create content around the Black Stars, talk to the players, so that, because we represent the fans that are not here, we can represent them. Because you can't say all the 20,000 Ghanaians that are here, they should come to the stadium, the national team camp to come and talk to the head coaches. But there can be a press day where we can just engage with the coaches. Because as journalists, we can only talk to the coach at the post-match, or basically at the post-match. You get what I mean? So I think maybe not allowing the fans to go there because of security purposes, but maybe something like an organized press day where we can just have a conversation with the coach. Those that wants to, for some of us that wants to create just lifestyle content for our social media, for journalists that wants to create hardcore content, so that at least the fans outside the country would appreciate what is happening here, so that it won't be like they are starved, so that when they get slightest chance, they won't say everything, because as you have gotten the chance, you get another chance again.
I see. Dalali, I'll say thank you so much for joining us. Wish you the very best. I'm sure we'll speak again soon. All right. Sure. Dalali sharing some very interesting thoughts on fans and what they want to tell the national team. I kind of agree largely that, I mean, if they could organize something, a bit of just a tiny window for fans, maybe a select few, a select few. Fans can put themselves together, have one or two representatives, they can interact with the players. That's something very organized. Maybe the players, just for them to know, how the fans feel. What do you think? I don't know.
You remember back in the days when the Black Stars were going for tournaments and stuff like that. Even I didn't need to be there, and I remember this because of how I was growing up then. I didn't need to be there, but there were broadcasters who they were not necessarily in the team's feeds, but you could see the Jama in the buses, you could see the playful nature of the players in the dressing room. It's you don't need to be there, but it draws you closer. I don't know how things are being done now, but it seems like it's a selected feed of what we want to feed you. And the losses are also not helping. I will be honest, the losses are also not helping. But just like you said, the question is the team needs to ask themselves, because this falls in the rules of the administrators and people who take care of that. They need to ask themselves what was being done in the past. Even if you can't give the fans a 24/7 access, just like Delali said, and I agree with him for most part. If you are going to allow the press, because the press are more like the middlemen between the team and the fans. If you are going to allow the press a day in, or even after you have probably qualified from the group stages, which is an if, you can have a time, because even in the Englands, and they all have times they spend with their fans. It doesn't necessarily have to be 24/7, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, autographs or something.
All right, interesting, stuff coming in from the Black Stars, or in relation to the Black Stars. All right, let's get into some on-field action. The AFCON is still going on in Côte d'Ivoire. Yesterday, you had some very interesting teams playing, some of the favorites who are expected to do very well in the competition. Let's start off with Algeria. Algeria. Now, they won the competition back in 2019, had a disastrous 2021 edition. They are hoping for better this year in La Côte d'Ivoire. Let's have a look at their game with Angola. It ended 1-1, but it was a very, very interesting 1-1 draw between Algeria and Angola. All right, exciting stuff between Algeria and Angola in that encounter. 1-1 there. The Algerians scoring first, the Angolans equalizing a little later. We'll take a very quick break here on the AFCON Daily Show. When we come back, we dive into the analysis. We, pick apart the fine points of that game involving Algeria and Angola, and then we look at the rest of the games from Monday night. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwame. My guest, Kwame Safo and Edmond Sedinam. Guys, so we saw the action. Algeria won, Angola won. Thoughts, Edmond? Let me start off with you.
I would say a surprising result, because we thought, personally, I felt that we were done with all the surprises in the early part of the campaign. All the big guys pulling shenanigans and things. I thought that was the end, but this was really surprising. And we have to give it to the I think his name is Goncalves, the Angolan coach. He just switched it and won this game and for me, it's a win for Angola. And it's a loss for Algeria.
I see.
Interesting.
Safo.
Yeah, so something was said in the commentary when I watched the game. They said Algeria in the first half played like the 2019 Algeria, and Algeria in the second half played like the 2022 AFCON Algeria. Because Algeria are my picks to win. I keep on telling people this and they think I'm crazy, but you see the immense talent in that team. In the first half, they were so comfortable. They played Angola basically off the pitch. I mean, if you watch the calf move of the day, Beleli, they were just toying with them at a point. So you think they would kill them off, especially, and this was a game in which Riyad Mahrez was not really involved in that match. Even off the bench, they had Zerouki, this Dutch player who is having a phenomenal season in Feyenoord. They have Houssem Aouar, who has naturally switched from France to Algeria. So there's that quality. You just don't know what's happening to them. And they had something similar like this in the past AFCON, where they didn't start off with a win. And mind you, they have a very tricky group, because we will talk about that today, Mauritania and Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso are the dark horse of AFCON. They seem to have a way to turn up. You couldn't secure a point against Angola. That game against Burkina Faso is going to be tough. Maybe you can get something with Mauritania, but looking at the fact that the new coach of Mauritania is the Comoros coach, even that is not a given. But if you take the game in perspective, I think Riyad Mahrez really needs to be stepping up. If he is not the Mahrez we've known for quite some while, I think they have enough talent to bench him. Because yesterday they even had this free kick in the Mahrez territory, and they just made a mess out of it. Baghdad Bounidjah needs to be involved in the game more often, because yesterday the overhead kick after the goal he scored, he was taken off on the 61st minute for Islam Slimani. If he had enough of those balls over the top, because Angola were struggling with the balls over the top, they have the ability to retain the ball. Yesterday I tweeted something that in Kumasi, Ghana have them puffed against Angola just to maintain a ball, but they were just slicing them open. It was just left with the final third. But in and all of itself, you will look at this Angolan team and then say that the coach changed it, because coaches,
because in the first half they struggled, and then in the second half,
and the player he brought on won the penalty, scored the penalty. Bululu, you see, coaches are making changes that are winning team games, and other coaches are making changes that are costing teams. So, but that is what coaching is basically about.
You mentioned the change. So, what did the change do?
They were being overrun in the middle. Algeria were just having like a field day. It's like the Angolan midfield didn't exist. They created just one chance. I don't know if they wanted to sit at the back and counter, but even that was not working, because to sit at the back and counter, that means you need to have somebody who plays the passes through for your captain, because the Angolan captain seems to be the only one up top. But the pass guy was just ineffective. They were just running through the midfield. So I think what Mabululu did was, in as much as the player he brought on had this defensive mindset, he was also good for them attacking wise. And if you are not getting the second goal to kill the game, you get frustrated as an Algerian side. And it just took a rush in the head. You wouldn't expect a player of, I don't know if it was Ben Sibani or, it was a very top player.
It was a very poor tackle.
To make such a tackle.
I think it was Betnaleb, I think.
Yeah, Bentaleb.
Bentaleb. Yeah, he was the one.
I thought it was a very, very poor
And
tackle.
it's similar to what Mozambique conceded. Kicking through the individual to get to the ball in the penalty box.
I see.
This is not the EFL. this is certainly not. This is Africa's biggest tournament. So the tackles in there need to be concise to get away with things. But
sorry to cut, quite contrary. This is what happens in Africa. You see, it's VAR that is saving the African game. Some 10 years back, it would have been play on.
But now we also want to evolve the game for it to be a bit more technical, tactical, brilliant, and things. And when it comes to those technical and tactical things, the brute force does not work.
But the other interesting point I want to talk about. One, of course, with the Baghdad Buneja goal, that was correct decision, but that was a brilliant goal.
I think sometimes the VAR must just close its eyes.
If that were scored against your country, you wouldn't like it.
But you see, even with that goal, I think it's technology, because it was very tight. Yeah. I think they didn't pay much attention. It was so tight. Any other day without a VAR, that is a clear goal. And you see, I think that's Baghdad Buneja is just. He doesn't need to play for Napoli or when he comes into. Someone said something that when these top European players come to Africa, it's like the Black Panther. They strip them of all their powers, and the African players, because look at even the goal, that one touch, played it with the outside of his foot in such a way that it's curling far away from the goalkeeper. What do you do about
brilliant
that?
Technique.
But Baghdad,
because the ball clears the defender. Yeah. And Buneja had to adjust his body
one touch
just to fire it past the goalkeeper.
It was a beautiful goal.
The other bit, the penalty, the Angolan penalty, and I think it's the most interesting penalty I've seen, where the ball hits the underside of the bar. I'm sure the player doesn't even know it's crossed, but he just hits it in just to be double sure.
To avoid the Lampard rule. It happened to Lampard
2010
against Germany.
That was a clear goal. Yeah. But just for security, just stamp it in so that we don't waste time to go and check the VAR and come and be double sure about it. It's just for security's sake. He just wanted to get the goal. He was not sure of himself. I feel that was it. He just wasn't sure of his kick. But he also could have missed that penalty easily. Yeah.
Hitting the underside of the bar.
An inch more, it would have deflected outward.
It's coming back. As we wrap it up, Safo, so for Algeria, where do they go from here? Because we saw them, they had a horrible run 2-3 years ago in the last AFCON. And now they've played the second half that reminds us of that. So how do they get to be a bit more consistent over 90 minutes?
To answer that question, let me just take a little bite of the penalty thing. And it's one thing on Sunday when we were doing the AFCON on Citi FM, I realized there's a deficiency of a team like the Black Stars. They don't play to the whistle. If you watch the Sunday game, they just stop playing and they are throwing their arms up in the air. So because there's a VAR. I don't know if they don't know there's a VAR in the game. There's a VAR in the game. So no matter how, it will be checked. He didn't need to be, because you remember the Lampard kick. After he kicked the ball and he just turned and he was throwing. You just need to be sure. So far as the ball is coming to you, make sure that 100%, and that's a trait, I don't know, they need to tell the boys, play to the whistle. To the referee has whistled, just stay focused, because any other country will not wait for, it's like what happened to us the last AFCON. Gabon did not play the ball out. So we were inattentive and then Gabon equalized. So that's just a little thing I wanted to say about that. For Algeria, I still tip them as my tournament favorite. I think the best thing they can do is they need to keep their head. I mean,
you feel it's mental?
Yeah, because these things happen. I don't think in 2022 the AFCON, they were bad. Results didn't go for them. They were losing to Gambia. But when you watch those games, they are games they dictate. So in as much as you dictate the game, it's about chance creation to in and of itself. Because they can play through the channels, they can give the long balls. But you take Bunija's goal, I think the closest to a goal is, I don't know if it was Benacer. He had this curler. It wasn't shown in the replay.
I think it was in the first half.
It was in the first half.
He came off the flank
and just that was like the best chance, clear-cut chance I could remember. You go to the second half, I'm trying to remember the chances. They are not coming to me. They created something, but they are not coming to me. It's not, you see, possession without penetration does not lead to anything.
Yeah.
So this is the need to be clinical.
And me, I didn't think being clinical is not their problem. They just don't create clear-cut chances, because if you are creating clear-cut chances and you have the Baghdad there, he would score it. And again, Riyad Mahrez, we are not seeing, because coach said something during last week's panorama that one of the reasons why he doesn't care about Black Stars, the reason he wants to watch is to see the likes of Riyad Mahrez. What has happened to him after he left Europe? I was also looking out for that yesterday. He was totally anonymous. If I'm the coach, it's either I'm speaking to him or I'm benching him to send a signal to the players that we are not here to joke. You are the Desert Foxes. You are one of the teams with the biggest stars in the tournament. So create clinical chances, and then Mahrez should take leadership of this team.
And finally, as we wrap it up, if you're Angola, you said the result is like a win for Angola.
Yeah.
They got that second half right. So for them, what is the next step?
Next step is, I think the coach over-respected Algeria going into this game, hence his tactics. But going into their next game, come on.
They've got what? They've got Mauritania.
They've got Mauritania.
And Burkina Faso.
But they're
their
playing,
next 2 games.
Yeah, Mauritania first. Listen, Mauritania should be a team that they should beat. The Black Stars, quote and unquote, struggled against this Angolan team.
It's true.
So they need to tap into those strong points of theirs. They've got players to make things happen. Right now, we see the AFCON being played on a certain scale, which shows the importance of teamwork. They need to work together as a team and deploy a tactics that would negate that of Mauritania. But if they go in playing like, let's try the first half, let's see what happens, they will be surprised.
I see. So you feel that they need to go after Mauritania, try to dominate?
Certainly. Don't dominate. Score your goal.
Just score.
Because their XG in the second half against Algeria was way bigger than what they did in the first half. Even bigger than that of Algeria in the second half. So that shows that they have that kind of potential up front. It's up to them for them to take that opportunity and make Mauritania account for themselves.
Okay, all right. Now we're talking about teams accounting for themselves. Senegal, who are defending champions, they started off their competition on a very, very good note. They've got the tournament's biggest scoreline as we speak. They beat the Gambia, who a lot of people were hoping to see more of after their exploits from 2 years ago. They beat their neighbors by 3 goals to nil. Lamine Camara, the star of the show, 20-year-old player, getting 2 on the day as Senegal started their title defense on a very good note. Let's see the highlights. All right, so Senegal winning by 3 goals to 0. I don't think we were surprised by that.
No, not at all. This is the way to start the tournament as a champion. You have systems working for you, producing players, and the system and the management of the entire football in the country is gradually progressing the people who need to be progressed, and we are seeing results.
Okay.
I am really impressed. I'm really impressed by what they did. And let's just say Mane was not even in gear 1. That shows that he has not fallen off so much like the others that went to the Gulf.
I see.
It just shows something is different.
Is this, I mean, this on the side though, is something I'll keep an eye on. All these guys who've gone to the Gulf and they've left Europe. It's interesting to see how they will fare in mainstream. So we have Mane and Riyad Mahrez. So we'll see. So for your thoughts before we go to do something.
I don't want to be the kind of person who works lyrical about Senegal or this, Senegal or that. I'll be very honest. Before like the first 10 minutes, the first chance was created by Gambia. Let's not take anything away from Gambia. And, you know, they have their own banter because I think Gambia and Senegal used to be Senegambia at a point in time. So this was a game like how you have our Ghana-Nigeria rivalry.
If you look at the map, Gambia is encircled by Senegal.
They used to be one country. So I watched that game. Gambia were impressive in the first 10 minutes, but Senegal sort of took command, and the first goal shifted the narrative away, and the red card also just completely...
Which you say you disagree
Which I disagree with. We will go to the Cameroon-Guinea game too. I mean, I get that these kind of things are deemed as reckless play, but you see, there's a difference between chasing an opponent and then probably missing a step, and whilst his foot is planted on the ground, you mistakenly step on him, rather than leaning forward and deliberately trying to go for the ball and you rather stamped on his heel. I mean, even on the field, there's this article I wrote about VAR and how it's removing the arbiter's discretion and the mind of arbiters, because it seems when the VAR calls you, there has to be statistics done on that. How many times do referee stick with their on-field decision after VAR?
But don't you think that, for example, once they are given the opportunity to see the action again, then whatever decisions they may have had initially, they have a better opportunity to decide, okay, I'm seeing it again from different angles. Okay, I stick with my decision. Or, wow, upon seeing this, I've changed my mind.
There's a possibility of that, but I believe that there's this predisposition that works on their mind that, hey, once I'm told to watch it, then it's probably a bad thing. And the thing about the VR is that it's not real time. Most of the time, they show slow motion, and you know, slow motion, things you are watching slow motion, they have this gravitas around it as compared to seeing it in real time. Because, any other person would give it. I mean, nobody's complaining that it's a red card because an argument can be made for it being a red card. But I thought the referee should have stuck with his on-field review, because that killed Gambia completely. Even the third goal. Because normally, when the ball is coming to Lamine, there should be someone like rushing towards him, but there's no DM there, or the person who was playing that role is absent, so he has all the time in the world to adjust his body and give you something spectacular like that.
Edmond, do you have anything to share?
For me, the red card, once it's coming from behind, what does the rule say?
It's not a tackle from behind.
But what does the rule say?
You see, there's a difference between a tackle from behind. Yesterday, I had this thing going on a lot of outlets that was a tackle from behind. Later, when we were growing up, when we say a tackle from behind, you know what a tackle from behind is? He stepped. You see, there's a difference between stepping on someone's heel. It doesn't give the bit of tackling.
So a tackle might be let the person feel your presence and then try to go in for the ball.
I mean, a tackle is you lunging in to try to get the ball.
When you watch that,
he was not trying to get the ball.
No, he was not trying to get the ball. He was trolling, but he involved himself in something.
It's like I'm running and I'm following you and I misstep and I step on your heel.
So you say
tackle?
Sorry. And that is the
red card.
Sorry. No, that is the red card.
So that's the red card. Red card is a punishment.
It's the sorry.
Sorry.
Because when you step on someone, you would say sorry.
I get you.
So for me, it's...
So for you, it's... But you have no problems with that decision? You thought it was...
I don't have a problem with that decision, but I have a problem with the VAR in the tournament.
Why?
Totally.
What's wrong?
They are being selective on certain decisions.
But we all know the VAR is there for clear and obvious errors. So if they don't think it's clear and obvious...
Exactly my point. Let me go back a few days.
Mm-hmm.
A certain country cried for penalty because they felt they were held in the box. There was a tag on the shirt.
Yes.
So it should be reviewed. Not once, twice. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
So it's for me, it's being the selective
so you feel that,
nature.
So you think it needs to examine all the... But we all know that the checks are always done in the back. When there's a big issue, then they refer to it.
But that's a big issue for the country.
Yeah.
It led to them. Right. It led to them losing the game.
All right, let's get to the touch part. Edwin Kakofi is here.
I agree with that.
Edwin, how are you doing?
Hi Nathan, I'm good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm all right. The guys are debating heavily. VAR, red card. Anyway, we'll get into talks of red card because in the Cameroon-Guinea game, there was an incident. But let's talk about Senegal and the Gambia. There are a few things you want to show us.
Yeah, I enjoyed your conversation on the red card, and I'll come to that in a bit. But I want to start with the first goal that Senegal scored. Safo mentioned that Gambia were not too bad offensively. Yeah. However, it's their defensive issues that cost them in this game. So the first goal, I'd like us to take a look at it. And right from this first image, there's a huge problem. And I wonder if anyone...
This is Senegal in possession.
This is Senegal in possession in white.
Yes.
There's a huge problem there. And I wonder if anyone can notice. Our viewers at home, can you notice it?
A big problem. Yeah, there's the man up there who's very free.
This is Sadio Mane. You do not leave Sadio Mane so alone, especially on the left wing. And then this is Janko, the right back for Gambia.
Gambia, yeah.
At one point, at no point did he look back to check where Sadio Mane was. So let's take a look at how the rest of the game.
Okay, all right.
Let's go forward.
Run it.
Okay, so keep an eye on Mane and Janko as the possession goes on. So as the ball gets here, Janko has found his way into the 6-yard box, leaving Sadio Mane all alone over here. Mm-hmm. And what does is that with 3 players here, Mane, who is the Gambian midfielder,
yes,
notices that Sadio Mane is all on his own down this side.
Okay.
Obviously, he's going to gravitate to Sadio Mane. What does is it allows Pape Gueye to have clear space here to take the shot. So this is comical defending from Gambia. They let 3 players go
on the line. What are they doing on the line?
I'll take this back a little bit so that we go here.
Yes. All right.
Stop it right here. These 3 players here, every one of them, these 3 players, let me highlight them. Or 4 actually.
4 players, yes.
Every one of them is focused on Sadio Mane.
Okay.
Not one of them is looking in this direction at Pape Gueye. Not one of them is covering this area. This defender over here, his attention is on this player.
Okay.
So there's no way he's going to leave his area of marking to go and try and get Pape Gueye. So this leaves Pape Gueye with so much space, Mane with so much space to pass into.
Oh, wow.
And obviously, Sadio Mane has a few options to get to. He can either fire the ball into this space for Gueye to get to, fire the ball into this place closer to the player, or fire the ball here. And this is where knowledge of your teammates comes in.
Okay.
He understands that Pape Gueye is left-footed. Putting it here puts him at a disadvantage. It leaves him having to hit it with his right foot.
And that won't work.
That won't work properly. So putting it closer to him allows him to angle his body in a way where he can hit it first time. So let's go on. Take a look at Pape Gueye in this situation.
There you have it.
Oh.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
Okay, so I think it's running now. Okay,
Then,
I think we can let it run.
Yeah, we can let it run.
And then
he angles his body left-hand side, and he's able to take the shot with his left foot straight into the back of the net.
Wow. So clearly, Gambia's defense all over the place.
Really poor in that move. Allowed too much space for Mane, too much space for Pape Gueye, and there was no way they were going to stop that shot. Okay. Let's go to our next point in this game, the red card for Gambia.
Yes.
This was a huge talking point. I was really enjoying the discussions we were doing. So this is the sequence that led to the red card. And this is the tackle from behind, as Sedi describes it. We'll get a closer look at it.
Okay.
And I feel Adams here, who is the player who makes the tackle,
yes,
is very, very hard done by. Very, very unfortunate in this case.
Okay.
This was not a premeditated tackle. Obviously, he was trying to step in a position. Unfortunately, he found the back of his player's ankle.
Okay.
And while the referee gave a yellow card, I was completely in agreement with the yellow card decision, because I thought that in such a situation, this is an accident. He didn't mean to make the tackle. It was a very dangerous tackle, no doubt about it, as we can see.
But don't you think the decision? Don't you think the decision turns on that point that it is dangerous?
It is dangerous, but not when the player doesn't mean to make that tackle. You are playing football. You are trying to step somewhere, and unfortunately, your opponent's foot is in the way. You can't say that it wasn't premeditated. It wasn't a dangerous tackle that resulted from the intentions of the player. So I think he was hard down by. But I accept the decision, and we'll get to a reason in the next game to show why I accept the decision.
It leads me to something that's usually said when the VAR debates are had. I've listened to a lot of ex-players say that, in their opinion, there needs to be a former player in that VAR room, breaking some of these nuances down to the officials and say that, look at that. He agreed, he stepped on the player. But you can tell, this is not deliberate, this is accidental. I don't know what, some people believe that ex-players need to be in there to highlight some of these nuances, and then you can give better. So, for example, it is true, he stepped on the player. It wasn't deliberate. So he gave a yellow card as a warning that don't try that next time. Well, you seem to disagree.
No, you see, the moment it goes into slow-mo, like Safo said, it just increases the gravity of everything. And look at the magnification of that particular one. You see, when it's magnified, you see it as an extremely bad tackle from Mars, not even Earth, but just because he strolled into the player.
But you stand by the decision.
I still stand by it. If you were not going to give a red card, then a yellow card should not even be on the table.
I see.
Once it's an accident, we consider it an accident, and then we move on. A lot of players have got injured from accidents. One of the most recent being, I think, the collarbone man, Timikas.
Oh, okay. But you see, I would give you an example. You see, yet again, not to bore you with legalese, there's something called strict liability offense, where we do not care about your intention, whether it was intentional or not. So far as there is the offense, they'll give you the card. An example would be Son and Gomez, Everton, and Gomez's injury was, Son didn't do it on purpose. But then the ramification was nasty. Gomez was out for almost a year, straight red. So I would understand based on that. But then that's when, like you said, ex-players coming, because with this thing, the ball was not even in play. It was not even in play. And
the ball was in play. Was the ball in play?
Like it was in play, was in motion. But he was not going for the ball. I mean, he had already passed the ball.
Okay.
So the ball was not... He was not going for a ball as at that time. That's what I meant by the ball was not in place. So an ex-player will look at this and will tell you that, come on, some of these things here, I get the argument about it's a dangerous place, but these kind of things can be overlooked because, like I said, you're an arbiter. Sometimes arbiters use discretion, irrespective of the rule.
So you felt the referee
should have used. And I actually thought he used his discretion, but then
giving a yellow card.
But then what VAR does is, again, not to bore you with legalese, there's legal positivism where you need to go by the letter. If the law says it's dangerous, red, nothing else.
I see.
So, quick one.
Let's move on to Senegal's second goal.
Okay,
You mentioned players who have been in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and how they will respond when they come back to the African continent. One player you forgot to mention was Kalidou Koulibaly.
Kalidou Koulibaly, yes.
And he played a huge role in Senegal's second goal. Take a look at this movement. Let's let it go a little bit more. And then here, right here. In this situation, I think the Gambia are set up really well. The midfield is set up really well. So it leaves Koulibaly, who is our player right here, with a few options. Any defender, your average classic defender, is left with a few options to make a pass.
Okay.
Either he goes back here to his teammates, he comes down here, or in extreme cases, back to the goalkeeper. This is why it's important for you to have a centre-back who can pick a pass, who can step into midfield and pick a pass. With such a midfielder, now your options, the options available for him are this pass right here, this pass right here, and this pass right here.
Okay.
So with this, you have Ismail Assar in this position. You have Lamine Camara in this position. if Koulibaly is able to find a pass to one of these two, it takes out these three players immediately. So which pass does he go for? He finds Ismail Assar in a very good position, taking out the three midfielders who were marking him and Lamine Camara. This allows Camara to continue his move into the penalty box, and obviously it's a really good strike from him to find the back of the nets. So a really well-worked move. Started from the centre-back because he was able to remain calm, keep his composure, and pick out the right pass to his teammates.
Interesting. So having a defender who can pass the ball is extremely important.
It's extremely important. And it's an attribute that a lot of the huge coaches are looking for a lot more these days. Pep Guardiola, has that in Manuel Akanji and Ruben Diaz. And
Klopp has Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, and John Stones as well. Klopp has Virgil van Dijk. Pochettino has Thiago Silva. A lot of these managers are looking for defenders who can not only do their classic job of defending, but can also step up into midfield and create an extra midfielder, an extra playmaker who can find the passes in between the lines.
Interesting. How I wish the Black Stars would have.
We have that in Mo Salih.
Mo Salih, but of course he's a little rusty. To be fair, I mean that is true. He's the best passer out of the back the team has.
He tried on Sunday, except all the passes were wayward.
Yes. Anyway, Edwin. So let's move on to. I don't know whether you want to highlight something else.
Yeah, Senegal's final goal. I think we'll be quick with this one because it was a fantastic goal. But I would like to highlight the defending by the Gambia again.
So the Gambia's defending. Tom St. Feet would be very upset.
So I'd like to stop it here. Again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 Gambian defenders.
That's a 5-on.
5-on-3.
5-on-3.
Yes.
If you want to stretch it, a 5-on-4. But
who are all drawn towards these 3 players, which obviously leaves our star man here, Lamine Camara, on his own.
Wow.
And this is Barrow, who is supposed to be the defensive midfielder, the holding midfielder, the one keeping an eye on his opponent. And look at where his eyes are facing. At no point does he look at Camara, even though he's supposed to be marking this area. So that leaves Camara with so much space to operate from. And guess where, after a lovely piece of skill, by the way, guess where the ball ends up? He is calling for the ball. At no point does Barrow see this as a threat. So he keeps focusing on where the ball is, not aware of his surroundings, not aware of what danger might be around him. And obviously a fantastic goal from Kamara. That's a wonderful finish, by the way.
That's a wonderful goal of the tournament contender.
If Bunija's own was accepted, but currently
so far.
Interesting, guys. So. Wow. So it looks like the Gambians really failed on the defensive side of things. Either the structure was off or players were sleeping on the job.
Taking a look at that third goal, he just stood there the entire sequence, the entire video that was played. He was just standing at that place. That shows that they were just sleeping. And the worst part is, they were being drawn to the ball as if the ball was a magnet for them and not picking out potential danger zones and danger spots in there. They were just being drawn away from the actual play. So they draw them away from their position and then have an easy way of scoring goals. And for me, they need to work on their defense.
Just poor scanning, because there's something scanning. You scan your environment. So not in a single second did he even scan to see the danger, because the players with the ball, there are enough men there. You are a little bit isolated from play. Normally, you watch football and you see the player turns a little bit before he even looks at where the ball is. He didn't even turn. I don't even know that he even noticed that anyone was there. So Barrow is supposed to be one of the experienced players. And I mean, like you said, Tom St. Feet will be very upset with that.
Well, Tom St. Feet will be very cross with very, very cross with what he saw from his Gambian Scorpions. Clearly, they couldn't sting enough as they did their work there. The other game that was played was between Cameroon and Guinea. Now, Cameroon were They're hoping to get their tournament off to a good start. Now, they've had some controversy hanging over their heads, as they usually do. There's no tournament without controversy from Cameroon. This time it had to do with their goalkeeper, Andre Onana, who arrived in camp at whatever time, felt he should have been in the post. Rigobert Song said, no, you sit on the bench. It took Elijah Diouf to calm Andre Onana down. And if Elijah Diouf is the one calming you down, then there's a problem. Anyway, I don't know if you have the highlights. Maybe you can have a look at the highlights, and then Edwin can run us through some of the fine points in that encounter. So if you have the highlights, Cameroon versus Guinea, let's see how that 1-1 draw came about. All right, interesting game between Cameroon and Guinea. Guinea taking the lead, Cameroon responding. Game ended 1-1. Of the two teams, who would be happier?
Guinea.
Okay.
Guinea, because of the name, just because of the name of Cameroon. But for Cameroon, they should not see this as a disappointment. They had it coming.
Okay.
They had it coming.
How?
No, the chickens have come home to roost. Again, constantly, when they come to every AFCON, they have their own drama that they import. And it looks like it's not stopping anytime soon. For the backstories, there are a lot again.
They always have drama.
The coach of Cameroon literally did not even look at the face of Onana when he arrived. Yeah. Onana got stuck in the capital because of bad weather and could not fly to join the team. He only joined the team, I think, 3 hours to kick off. You don't join a team 3 hours to kick off and try to just make noise in camp. He did not even look at his face. That's what angered him the most. And then he started saying in French, I know you translate it, but I'm not the one to speak the French. But he was saying,
if you knew you were not going to let me play,
why do you let me come?
Why did you let me come here?
Then why did you also accept to be even part of the team? Who would you go to a Manchester United team that late and then start? It doesn't happen. So why are we allowing ourselves as Africans to tolerate some of these things sometimes? So they had it coming for them, but they also missed their star man. I think Abubakar would have really helped them in this game.
Safu, how much of a miss was, how much did they miss Abubakar?
Abubakar, you know the funny thing is that in the 2017 AFCON they won, Abubakar was on the bench. I think Abubakar, he was the youngest player in the 2010 World Cup in the Cameroonian side had Eto'o and all of those people. He's risen from the ranks playing, I think, was it Cotton Sports, one of the big Cameroonian teams, to being the big man in Besiktas. And I think the turnover in Abubakar's career came in that 2017 final. And since then, he's made the Cameroonian national team his own. You go through the World Cup. They couldn't have achieved what they achieved without Vincent Abubakar. And he's one of those players where they say that on their club level, but you can't even say that because Besiktas are heavily dependent on him on the club level. I think he's moved now, but he's very good on the club level and when he comes to the Cameroonian team too. But all in all, the Cameroonian team, even from qualifiers, because today we will talk about the Namibian team, the Cameroonian team seems to be dipping in form when it comes to the qualifier. Some of the players they would normally rely on, like Brian Mbeumo, is not around. But then they have the guy who scored, is it Mebri? I've forgotten his name. He plays for Toulouse, and he's had a very outstanding season. 16 games, 4 goals. So Mebri and Toko Ekambi and Abubakar would have been the dream front line. But they don't have anything. One thing about Cameroon is the other country that has shown us that even if we do not have our big players there, we can go and deliver something. 2017, Matip, they were all trying not to turn. They were not responding to calls. Choupo-Moting, they were all misbehaving. And the truth of the matter is, even as countries, it's time we started questioning ourselves about these things, whether you really need star-studded players to do something in this tournament. Because without those players, and that even brings me to Fabrice Onoa, who is the Cameroonian goalkeeper, happens to be Onana's cousin. See, I've been Onana's advocate throughout. The last time we were here, I was like, Song does not like the guy. I am even speculating, allegedly, that even Onana's inclusion back into the Cameroonian team, I don't think it was Song's decision. Because like I said, you don't like this guy. You sacked him from the camp during the World Cup because you don't like keepers who are like, Song is this old type of, you don't like keepers who play with their feet and all of that. You got rid of the guy. This was prior to Onana getting to the Champions League final, being bought by Manchester United. What changed overnight? And Susu Graham tweeted this to yesterday that if you knew you were going to do this to him, why do you don't look in his face? I don't think Onana should have started yesterday.
Fair point.
You just flew in. Fabrice Onuwatu needs some respect. He won the AFCON. He has an AFCON medal. They won the AFCON without you. What has Cameroon achieved with you? So you don't just waltz into a team you didn't have camping with, you've not had any training with, because you wear fancy shoes and charter a private jet, you deserve to start ahead. And I don't think he has any justification for complaining. If the reason being the coach not watching his face, or I think he said he feels this negative energy around him in the camp, that I would understand, but he shouldn't be demanding a starting place.
I'll get to Edwin in a second. But with all this drama, what should Cameroon even have Onana around in the first place?
Simple answer is no.
So
he shouldn't have come. He shouldn't have been called up, and he shouldn't have come.
But they came to an agreement that he would be there after the Man United Spurs game.
And that agreement was between the FA of Cameroon and United, not the manager.
Not Rigobert Song and everybody in there. Wow, interesting.
Cameroon sports is a mess right now. Even with Eto'o, you think Eto'o would cover the lid. Even Eto'o, there's this corruption, bribery scandal. He's beating someone here and there. It's messy.
That's what I'm telling Cameroon football is.
But you
drama.
see, it doesn't. I don't feel like it should start from them playing well. We've seen teams go. Italy had the most drama going to a World Cup. Yeah. These things happen. And I feel like Cameroon, they thrive in chaos. That's one thing I have realized. They just shouldn't let it get onto the pitch.
Okay, we'll see if Andre Onana will get his shot. But Edwin, you want to highlight a few things from that game?
Yeah, a few things from the game. Ondoa, as Safu was talking about, had a really good game. And we'll see one moment where he really impacted. But this sequence, this goal from Guinea, this is where the problem lies for Cameroon. And we start from here. I like to stop it right here. I think Christopher Wu for Cameroon, he did a fantastic job in this situation, keeping up with Bayo, who eventually scored the goal. Great defending from him after Ondoa's save, then a huge tackle. And this is where I'd like to leave it at.
Okay.
These two players, Kemen and Inchada, there's no danger here. Absolutely no danger.
They look in control of the situation.
They look in absolute control of the situation. And over here, Inchada decides to leave the ball for Kemen to take care of. His first instinct should have been, this ball goes out of play. There's no need to take any risks. And once he did that, obviously, the ball is taken away from him, and Bayo gets a shot on goal. So this is a purely defensive error that Cameroon need to blame themselves for.
Self-inflicted.
Absolutely self-inflicted. But there are a couple of other things I would like to point out in this move. First, Costelletto, right here. I think he did Cameroon a huge disservice.
Okay.
His tracking back was not good. He didn't make an effort enough to get into a position which would have prevented Christopher Wu from making that original tackle. So if you take a look at it, he should have got back much quicker, way quicker, to allow himself to get into a position to clear the ball before Christopher Wu made that tackle. And I pull it back to this area right here. Look at these three Cameroonian players tracking back. The ball gets here, and then there's this huge space that none of them are focusing on. Everyone's attention is where the ball is going.
Okay.
And look at this player who is running up here. No one is focused on him, but they absolutely should be. They absolutely should be, because this is where the whole situation comes from. no one focuses on him. He has a clear running on goal. If you move the play a little further, you can see that there's absolutely no one in this area to take care of any sort of rebound of the football. We'll move it even further. And this is where he gets in on the action. He should have been stopped from getting anywhere near the ball. There should have been players, Cameroonian players, who should have been busting their guts to get into that area, to take off the rebound before the player gets to the ball. And unfortunately, they didn't. And ultimately, it led to them conceding a really, really bad goal. Self-inflicted, as we see.
Wow, interesting. So then, of course, the play breaks down from here, and then
it ends up in the back of the net.
You know what?
A really bad goal to concede for.
It's very interesting watching some of these sequences, and it just tells you how in football, seconds can change a lot. So you take your eye off the ball for a second, and that's it. And the difference between controlling a situation and letting it go out your hand really is a matter of seconds. So that second that you hesitate, should I go, should I not go, that second is enough time for the player to blow past you and go and get a goal. I don't know whether you have another thing to show us.
Yeah, second thing. You remember I mentioned that I accepted the red card in the earlier game. I'm going to explain why I do accept that decision. Obviously, same kind of tackle in this game. Let it run a little bit more. The referee ultimately doesn't give any yellow card. He's asked to go take a look at VAR, and this is what he has shown. Let's come back. Take it forward a little bit, and let's see what the referee has shown.
Oh, okay.
So, if you can see the stump on the ankle, just as we saw in the previous game. So this is why I accept the initial decision. Why I may not think it was a straight red card offense. I think there's some consistency, and that is what I always call for. Once a tackle like that is made in one game and it gets a red card, if the same tackle is made in a second game, that should be a red card as well. And I think in that sense, the referees have done well to keep the decisions as consistent as possible. So a red card there for Kamano, a very big miss for Guinea, and that is where the game changed. Cameroon were under the coach up until then, and I felt that that's where they got back into the game. And now we take a look at the goal they scored. This is Nkudu on the left-hand side for Cameroon. And can anyone spot the huge problem here?
That's a lot of space.
A lot of space for a player who, up until this moment, kept crossing the ball into the box. He ended the game with 15 crosses, 7 of them accurate. And obviously, this was one of the 7 accurate crosses that he had in the game. So for the defender not to close this gap between the two, that was a suicide mission in the first place. So once the ball came into the box, Magri had a really clear header to get to. But in analyzing the header, the clean header that he got, let's take a look at this. Nkudu was obviously going to go with his right foot, cross the ball into the box with his right foot. How many players could he have gone for? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4. Obviously, they're being marked by 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and then 4. The ball ended up on the far post. That defender has an advantage because the obvious disadvantage, the height difference. And Magri is running into the box, which means he has a run on the defender. What you do as a defender in this case, what you do is you move. Oh, sorry about this. You move closer to the offensive player, and try to stop him from getting a clean run into the box.
Okay.
You try to impede his run as much as possible. This left back did not do that. Silla, that's his name. He did not do that. He allowed Magri a clear path into the box. Obviously, he beat him for pace, beat him for power, beat him in height, in terms of height, and Cameroon got their equalizer. So this goal is down to poor defending from the Guineans, and it ultimately cost them in the end. They done so well keeping Cameroon at bay for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and to concede such a goal in such a position, very disappointing for them.
Interesting revelations there. Thank you, Edwin. Guys, thoughts on that? Very interesting. So the defender fails to close down in Kudu, allows him to whip the crossing, and then the left back clearly doesn't stop the run. He allows the run to come in, and then he gets bullied, if you like, for the goal.
It just shows that there is some form of defensive inferiorities across board in this tournament. Let's look at this sequence and look at the Guinean goal. You have a man on the turf in the box, in your box, your defender. That means you are shot by one man. What do? You have the ball, knock it out quickly. But you are going to try to be who? Kante or a Ronaldinho in that part of the pitch. Obviously, you get knocked off the ball. And that you don't do in front of your penalty box. Because the more you are closer to your goal, the easier you can be scored. Now, for Guinea, you allow them room as well to bring it on. Because what? It's getting late. Don't worry, they should bring it on. Yes, they brought it on. They are much more powerful. Cameroonians are much more powerful in the air. And it showed there. So far, all the sequence leading to the goals, apart from, I think, even Lamine Camara's goal in the Senegal game, everybody is just dropping off. And what Africa is known for producing, that's strong midfielders, is seriously missing in this tournament. Okay. And for me, it's worrying.
Safu.
I mean, for goals to be scored, mistakes have to be made.
Yeah,
but then there are some mistakes that are unpardonable. Like the one we saw against Cabo Verde and the Cameroonian goal. So that's why I wouldn't go too hard on that one, because it's similar to, I think, Ghana versus South Korea, the Qatar World Cup. Something, I think the Korean second goal is very, very similar, where he's your man, you're supposed to tackle, but he's running from your blind side. This is supposed to be a coaching thing, or even as a defender, you are supposed to have antidotes to how you make those tackles. And the cross was pinpoint, it was perfect. You know, these are the things where the universe is aligned for you. We can always make these analyses that you should be able to tell, but then these are things that do happen, and he's obviously a very good striker. But one thing I took away from this game is that countries that are very close to, like Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, Ghana, they are actually utilizing that in their games. Because you watch the game and you think Cameroon is playing away. The Guineans were very noisy, and I think this is a Guinea without Sekou Girassi. This is a Guinea without Naby Keita. Yeah. None of them were playing. I think Sekou Girassi is not even at the tournament. And I would get to that because it makes me sad how, and it's the same thing for Nigeria, their Real Sociedad talent, who was injured and all of a sudden is fit training in Sociedad. I mean, what? It's like there's no respect for the African game. It makes me sad because all of a sudden Girassi is injured. Girassi just returned from an injury not long ago, and he's injured again. And he was one person I was really looking to see what would happen.
Because for him, playing at this tournament would have increased his value, right? Now, scouts get to see you play in a different environment. They see what you can do in that environment, and then they end up making a few more concrete decisions on you and your ability to thrive, because he is hot at the moment. Yeah. He is very hot. And I think sometimes scouts just want to see other dimensions to your game just so they can form a concrete opinion about you and see. But it's quite sad. That's for the Nigerian.
No, but for Nigeria, they have enough firepower. So
they needed him. They actually
they still do. They missed out on Boniface injury, but you still, I mean, if you could give us 2 or 3 of your attacking firepower, if you could give that to Ghana, we would gratefully take it. So I think they are not going to miss him much
But for me, the funny part is when it's not that the player is miraculously fine.
Seriously, he's fine. He's training, taking the steps. He's even on the grass. Not.
I mean, for Boniface, you could see that he was injured and had to have a bit of a surgery. But this guy is just running up and down and
reminds me of the 2006 AFCON when Michael Essien was injured and he was ruled out. He was ruled out of the competition. So the next weekend, so he gets ruled out in 1 week. The next weekend,
he's playing.
Arsenal versus Chelsea and Michael Essien. I remember that. So they went absolutely crazy. Saying that this guy doesn't love that. So for many years, there were lots of Ghanaians who didn't really like Michael Essien because they felt he jumped ship and bailed on the national team in 2006 when everybody was injured. He said he was injured. This was when he had just joined Chelsea. So, it's quite funny there. But before we wrap it up on this segment, so we saw one big win for Senegal, and then we saw 2 draws. Cameroon drawing, Algeria drawing there. I'll get to the question of whether this is an AFCON of surprises, but for Algeria and for Cameroon, do you think there will be, of the two, let me ask you guys, of the two, who would be more bothered by their result?
I would say Algeria.
Okay.
Algeria expected to win that game, but they just let it go in the second half. They'll be really disappointed with it.
I see. Safo?
I think it's Algeria, in the sense that, and I even forgot this, we were making the analysis based on AFCON, even the World Cup qualifiers. Algeria beat Cameroon at Yaoundé, and then lost in Algiers. And yet again, I keep on saying it's the psychological thing because they expected to hit the ground running so that we know that all this has been put behind us. And then they play a worrying draw. For Cameroon, and Cameroon too, let's get something straight. Cameroon are not off the hook. They are not playing any entertaining because the Senegal game is very important and the Gambians would have also recovered and will be back on their feet too. Both teams are not going to have it easy, but of the two, Algeria should be more worried.
By the draw?
Yeah, by the draw.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. So like I said, we had a 3-0 win for Senegal and a 1-1 draw for Cameroon and a 1-0 draw for Algeria. What we are yet to have is a 2-2 draw. Yeah. We are yet to have
Egypt and Mozambique.
Egypt and Mozambique. Okay, we had 1-2 draw.
This is better. I prefer it this way because in previous AFCONs we kept on having 0-0.
I remember. I think the last AFCON, we had a raft of
like 4
goalless draws, and then the competition kind of
so at least I'm happy that goals are being scored, and at least with some of the draws, the games are entertaining.
Let's hope that the goals don't dry out.
No, the goals are being scored because of the defensive inefficiencies of the team.
No, I think VAR is also playing a role, if we are going to be very honest, because what VAR does is it spots certain things. It allows, because back then, who are you to be doing a 360? Coach is ever call with you, you will feel the sensation. Now people are able to do 360 and all because players are being protected better in the African game. All right,
we are yet to get a goalless draw in this competition. We pray we don't get one, or even if we do, it's an exciting goalless draw. But I'm sure there will be lots more to talk about. But at least now we do have a leading scorer, Lamine Camara. He has 2 goals. Yeah. So he's the first to score 2 in a game in this competition. So that's how it goes. Interesting stuff there. This is still the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwame. My guest Edmond Sedinam and Kwame Safo. We've been going over the games from Monday. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at the games that are yet to be played. Very interesting ones. There are some teams that are yet to feature, and there are some others who will look at with a lot of interest because they seem to have some very interesting stories around them, and they all feature later today. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwame. My guests are still here, Kwame Safo and Edmond Sedinam. But now let's get into some social media chatter and my very good friend, Kelvin Edem Kaise. Kelvin, how are you doing?
Mr. Kwame, I'm great.
All right. So the South Africans are playing today.
Oh, yeah. They are very excited ahead of their game. You can see one of the South Africans here. She's Dube. She says that Each time the Malians see me at our hotel, they keep reminding me that it will be a massacre tonight. May the gods of football humble them. Let's go Bafana Bafana. So the Malians are feeling very confident ahead of the game tonight. But the South Africans too believe that they can put up a challenge. This is Opta Jabu. It's a stats page, and it says that this is the third time Bafana Bafana are meeting Mali at the AFCON. With both previous instances coming in the quarterfinals, 2002 and 2013. So this time they are meeting way earlier in the competition. So it would be nice to see how that would develop.
And there's the picture there, I think it's taken from one of their meetings. That is Seydou Keita, who turned 44 yesterday. How time flies.
And I'll get to that too. There's a tweet about him. It says that Seydou Keita celebrates his 44th birthday today, the same day the Eagles of Mali begin their campaign at the AFCON. How good was he? Rate him out of 10. Gentlemen, how would you rate Seydou Keita out of 10?
Wow, Seydou Keita, when he played, he was like a 7. I mean, in midfield, he was absolutely brilliant.
His time at Barcelona too, a lot of people forget about that, but he did really well when he was at Barcelona.
But it was whenever he played for his country, that's when you really saw Seydou Keita at his very best.
That's very true. Here's Steve Vickers. He's a journalist. He says around 200 Moroccan journalists are here in San Pedro in Cote d'Ivoire ahead of tomorrow's Group F game against Tanzania. The World Cup semi-finalists' only AFCON triumph was in 1976, 48 years ago.
I see.
So
I think this tweet was from yesterday.
Yeah, from yesterday.
It's because they are playing today.
Yeah, and you see that the Moroccans are very, very confident going to this tournament. They've not seen AFCON success in a very long time, and judging by the way they really performed in the World Cup, a lot of their fans are expecting a lot from this team. And we move on, and we see DME here. He's a Namibian fan. He says, whatever you do not bet against your own country. For your love of money shouldn't be more than your loyalty. I see people are laughing. For your love of money shouldn't be more than your loyalty towards your motherland. It's either you bet for Namibia or you don't bet at all. Let's go, brave warriors. I don't know why the gentlemen in here are laughing. It seems like it relates to some national team. This is Ghana's very own Felix Romark.
Yes.
He's speaking about when Rigobert Song was asked about Onana. You people were discussing about the whole Cameroon drama in the camp, and he said Rigobert Song said that Onana arrived late. He arrived at camp at 4 a.m. and the game was at 5 p.m. He's still part of the team with 2 games to go, but he couldn't start that game, judging by the time he got to camp. So I think they will need to calm down and calm there to ensure that Cameroon, their campaign gets on track. This is Nsibe Akpan. He's a Nigerian journalist. He said he had to keep his journalistic hat on the side when he took a picture with Super Eagles winger Samuel Chukwueze at Abidjan. So you see him there with Chukwueze. Sometimes you have to put the job aside and
take your pictures.
Take your pictures. Yes. We move on to Star. He's trusting in his head coach against Mali. He said, "Lead us on, coach." Hugo Bruce. The South Africans seem to be very, very, very charged up for this game tonight. I don't know what gives them that kind of confidence.
I'm sure they would want to show that they've grown as a country. On the club side of things, we've seen South African clubs, so Orlando Pirates, Sundowns won the CAF Champions League not too long ago. In terms of women's football, so in terms of their men's football team, they kind of believe that this is the time where now they begin to show that they are more serious. You know, and Hugo Bruce is one-time AFCON winner, so they think that he has what it takes to
Let's see if they can translate all that club success to the AFCON. Here's a tweet from Eric.
The man himself.
Eric is tweeting about Andre Onana. Onana said, "I have a lot of things to say, but I won't say it here because we are in the competition. The most important thing is sacred union. We are here to win AFCON 2023. I ask the supporters to support us in good times and bad. I'm one of the leaders, so I take responsibilities, and that is why I'm here. I do not want people to criticize the youngest. Let people continue to criticize me. I'm used to it. I do what is good for my country. It's like choosing between my father and my mother, but my country comes first. That's why I'm here. We are together." So Onana is calling for unity in the camp. And yes, Spurs wishing Yus Bissouma all the best of luck ahead of them starting their campaign.
Yes,
Yus Bissouma, there'll be an eye on him to see whether he can translate his performances at club level to the AFCON. And here's another South African fan. As I said, the South African
They
fans,
seem to have,
they are really riled up.
They
Biwo, he says that we are fully behind you, Bafana, make us proud. Let's leave it all on the pitch tonight. Let's surprise everyone this year at AFCON, and let's try and bring it home. So you can see that there's a lot of excitement behind this AFCON, and people are looking to see whether their national teams can really, really impose themselves in the tournament. So that's what has been happening on the social media front, Mr.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. I'm sure there'll be a lot during the game and after the game.
Definitely.
We'll bring you back for that. You're also watching the AFCON Daily Show on Citi TV, and like you saw, lots and lots of the post or pre-game comments, if you like, concerning the South Africa-Mali game. And a lot of the games, the Moroccans are also there in the mix, but social is dominated by a lot of the thoughts of South Africans. Let's have a look at the games that are on for today, and then we can pick the conversation up from there. I don't know if you have the fixtures for today. There you have it, Burkina Faso and Mauritania. That's a 2 p.m. game. Geopolitically, this will be very interesting to the security analysts. These two countries excite security analysts a lot because of jihadist activity, so they would like that. Tunisia and Namibia, that's at 5 p.m. That should be an exciting one. The North Africans taking on the Southern Africans. And then the last game of the day, that is Mali and South Africa. That is the last game of the day in today's fixture lineup in terms of the AFCON. All right, let's start off with Burkina Faso and Mauritania. Gentlemen, it's a very interesting story of these two countries. Burkina Faso, they show up quite regularly at the AFCON, hosted one in 1998. But in recent years, they've started to show that they are very serious. In 2013, I remember they did the number on the Black Stars in that semi-final. I remember that semi-final for different reasons.
Yes.
Both footballing and non-footballing reasons.
You were there, so you would know.
Footballing reasons and non-footballing reasons. One, a Black Stars player in that game pulled a hamstring in less than 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was the very infamous refereeing on the day, where, anyway, let me just say the refereeing was quite questionable. But the Burkinabes proved that they were very strong. Aristide Barnes and Jonathan Pitroipa, they absolutely did the number on the Black Stars. They won that game in the shootout. 2 years ago, I remember Burkina Faso involved in another shootout.
Yeah, Cameroon, that was for the third place. They were in the semi-finals. I think they lost to Egypt. Yeah. They lost to Egypt, but they took out Tunisia.
Yes.
And they, even in the third place, they were leading Cameroon by 3-0 in the first half.
Then, so just tells you of a country that's evolving in terms of their footballing development. And Sadnam, you were making a point about Mauritania.
Yeah.
And the fact that you said Angola, when they get the chance to play them, they shouldn't respect them, quote unquote, go out. But now, okay, so Burkina Faso will start. So they will get to experience the Mauritanians first. Yeah. If you were in Burkina Faso's camp and you are thinking about that draw between Algeria and Angola and what potentially lies on the table for you, what would be the plan?
The plan would simply be to get that early goal. Because the early goals just relaxes all the nerves around, and everybody now tends to focus on the next phase of the game. Should they go into this game rushing, it will be difficult for them. They've got all the men, and this is a place that they call their second home. There are so many Burkinabes in Ivory Coast. So, and quite a number of
the president is part Burkinabe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Alassane Ouattara is part Burkinabe.
A part of the team also were birthed in Ivory Coast, so there's that umbilical cord thing going on. So this is an opportunity for them to actually start quickly, and they've got the likes of a certain player, Bertrand Traoré. He got a whole team banned from making transfers. So I really, really admire him and respect him for that. But he has grown up through the ranks, and now he's quite influential when it comes to this team. He will be very, very pivotal and key for them in this game. They need that early goal to kill any fire that Mauritania will start, because Mauritania would definitely come into this game starting fires. They did not just stroll into this particular position. They qualified through a series, and they really shocked everyone in their qualifying series as well. So
they are doing some great things in terms of their football. So for the Burkinabes, of course, they will start as favorites. They've got the more illustrious names: Bertrand Traoré, Tapsoba.
There's one Tapsoba at the back, one
two Tapsoba.
Ouattara, two from Bournemouth. They have Issa Kabore, who was the best young player in the last AFCON. This is what is going to make this game a very funny game. So the Stallions, Burkina Faso, they have thrived on AFCON. If you watch AFCON, they are a counter-attacking team. So that's the reason, and they have perfected their counter-attacking. So normally when they get out of the group stages, because defensively they are disciplined. And when you get out of the group stages, you are meeting the likes of Tunisia, Nigeria, which those teams are, first of all, you are going to be looked down as the underdog. Yeah. Those teams are expected to dominate the ball. But I was listening to a lot of Burkinabe journalists, and the problem is with Mauritania, you are now the favorite. You are supposed to dominate the ball. You are supposed to come out, because they were going to count on the speed of Dango Ouattara, because he's very, and a defensive discipline of Edmond Tapsoba, and there are a lot of, I think, the Leverkusen. Yeah. Who's also having a very stellar season. But the truth of the matter is that they have the quality. Mauritania is made up of players coming from Ouadhibou. Kotoko. Yes, Kotoko are the ones.
Don't know them very well.
Yes, most of their players are coming from Ouadhibou. And they have gone in for the Comoros, Abdul, I've forgotten, he has this, Abdul Admin or something like that. He used to coach Nouadhibou. He knows most of these Mauritanian players. And Mauritania is the reason why Gabon is not at these at these AFCON. So there's nothing like a small team now. So they would also like to cause a lot of headaches for them. But the problem is both teams at the same time do have a lot of nasty politics going on at the back. Because you take Burkina Faso, their current president, La Bansi, not Aristide, La Bansi or something like that. There's this call for him to resign. So you have their Premier League is ongoing. It's not going on for the meantime because they are calling for him to resign. Because the coach that took Burkina Faso to the 3rd and 4th place, he did a fantastic job, and people didn't understand why the coming in of a new FA coach would have to get rid of him. But apparently that's how it works. The new FA came in with his new coach and got rid of a coach who did marvelous for them. Nobody expected them to be. So they also have their own backroom politics going on. And you mentioned Bertrand Traoré, who is injured. Bertrand Traoré is injured and might not feature in this game. But on the field of play, you look at the quality of players you have, irrespective of the politics going on in Burkina Faso. The politics in Mauritania is that, this is the 3rd successive AFCON they have qualified for.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are yet to find a win. But the problem is, the only thing that helped them in this qualification was there's now investment in their football. And FIFA has given them, we are complaining about our situation in this country, but they can't account for what they did with their money. Yeah. They claim they built a stadium, and that stadium, there are complaints by journalists that this stadium can't be a stadium which you build with $40 million or something like that. So there's always these things going on in the background. But then when you step on the pitch, Burkina Faso possesses a lot of quality. They are one of the dark horses of this tournament, and they're expected to beat Mauritania easily. But let's see, you just never know at AFCON. You never know. And
always, once there's Burkina Faso in the mix, you are guaranteed they could throw up a very exciting encounter. You never know. All right, the other game is between Tunisia and Namibia. Tunisia and Namibia, Northern Africans versus Southern Africans. And the Namibians, very interesting, things happening to them. I remember them from the 2008 AFCON when Ghana hosted. Ghana beat them 1-0. Very, very difficult 1-0 the Black Stars got that day. I remember. It was Junior Agogo who scored. Guys, so Tunisia clearly as favorites. But we know the Tunisians, they've developed this very funny habit of not playing like the other North African teams. They are very solid defensively. Almost play like a counter-attacking.
They've not conceded in their past 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, that's the solidity you want at the back.
But despite them not conceding, this is not the coach they want to hold the team at this level.
Okay.
So there's that uproar back home about this coach. I think his name is Kadri. I think, yeah, Kadri. They really don't want him anywhere near the team.
I see.
But he's been with the team for a very long time. So you see, just like how you want the continuity with the CCs and the song, sometimes the continuities, they don't turn up well, especially if you are not excited with the kind of plays.
So the head coach, like I said, Jaleel Kadri. That's his name.
They just don't want him.
He's not popular choice at all.
No. and they seem not to be having a bar.
I saw the selection, the squad they presented. Yeah. Very distinguishable names in there. Yusuf Sakni, one of my favorite African players of all time, silky player, smooth player. And, very interesting squad. I'd like to see what kind of football they play today because they start as the favorites. And like I said, they almost thrive on like playing counter-attacking football. We saw them when they took Ghana all the way to a penalty shooter a few years ago. So we wait to see. I think you wanted to tell us something about the Namibia.
Yeah. So Namibia, the Namibians, they are called, I think, the Brave Warriors.
Yeah.
Neighbor with South Africans. They won the 21st COSAFA Cup. This current COSAFA Cup, that was last year, they were in the finals. They lost to Zambia. That was a COSAFA Cup that had Senegal as being invited in there. They had Zambia. They beat South Africa. So they are a very good team. They are heavily dependent on Peter Shalulwe. Sorry to the South Africans if I'm getting the name wrong. Of Mamelodi Sundowns. Brilliant player. He has, I think, 4 goals in like 10 appearances for He's one of the players who make Mamelodi Sundowns tick.
It's true.
And in their qualifiers, they had Cameroon in there. And they played most of their home games in South Africa. And they beat Cameroon. Cameroon had to beat Burundi to secure qualification. So they are a team of heart. That's how they've been described. They're a team of heart. You would always find difficulty in breaking them down or beating them. And because most of the time they are often looked down upon or they are not looked at as a team that will create a lot of upset, they really thrive on that underdog thing. And you said, because that's my memory of Namibia, 2008. It's like we beat, even with Guinea, 2-1. How are we struggling against these Namibians? And you get these things with these Southern African teams. South Africa, for example, if someone told you in 2019 that South Africa was going to knock out Egypt in Egypt,
I remember that
you wouldn't
so well.
But they always turn up like that. The Southern African team always turn up like that. So it's not going to be a walk in the park for Tunisia.
I just want to say that the game I'm looking forward to in this group is South Africa versus Namibia.
That would be crackers. It's going to be like your Ghana, Nigeria. It's going to be great.
All right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the final game of the day. That is the later game, and I just need to get that. The later game Mali of the day will be Mali and South Africa. So you've seen the South Africans on social. The South Africans are talking big, and of course, for our viewers, if you don't know, there will be live radio commentary of this particular encounter on Citi 97.3 FM. So stay tuned to that. That should be fun. Edmond, so there's Yves Bissouma. He should feature for Mali. Lots of the Tottenham Hotspur fans will be cheering for him, hoping he does well. But they are taking on a South Africa team who, like I said when I was talking to Adam, they seem to have all of a sudden woken up and they want this team to succeed and do very, very, very well. They've got players of quality, Percy Tau, some of the chaps from Mamelodi Sundowns, and all of that. If you are South Africa, what would be your mindset as you start this AFCON, taking on a Mali team whose profile has been rising in the last few years?
Well, for South Africa, it's more like they're trying to take a leaflet out of Egypt's book. Having a lot of players from one local team to try and use their cohesion and their style of play to boost the national team.
Okay.
This is mainly a Sundowns team. This South African team we are going to see is a Sundowns team. And it's all because of how their league has progressed. And it has given them the quality that they need to be at this level.
Okay.
And hence that home support, because the people back home basically know everybody. These are the guys we watch every week in, week out. Sundowns is playing, ex-Sundowns is playing. I have a favorite team in South Africa. That's another. So the Sundowns contingent is being looked at as the foundation for this team, where Hugo Bruce expects to build something enormous from. I'm just praying that Percy Tau keeps his head down and that's what's needed of him and does not go to do Percy Tau things, because when he does Percy Tau things, it would mean that he'll be off the pitch in a red card incident also. But hey, this is their time and they feel that they want to really go far. For me, their group is one of the most even groups in the tournament. Like, it's really even. Everybody can literally just beat everybody on paper even. And for me, it just sets us up for really exciting times. Mali would want to impress with Yves Bissouma doing Bissouma things in the middle, but it's going to be difficult for them.
I see. Safo, final word.
I love South Africa. All my homies love South Africa, but they are going to miss out on Lyle Foster. And it comes back to these things I'm saying about African players and their hesitant. He said Lyle Foster didn't take the opportunity to represent the country because of mental health issues. Yeah. But he's playing for Burnley. He's been featuring in the past. He played on Friday. He played the previous game to Aston Villa. But in as much as they are going to miss a player of his quality, you would expect South Africa to do well, because it's basically Mamelodi Sundowns annex. I am not a huge fan of Hugo Bruce. I think Pitso should be managing this South African team.
I see.
Pitso is like the best coach you can get on this continent.
I have a different opinion.
Okay.
I think Rulani Mokoena.
Oh, the Mamelodi coach.
Yeah, he should be South Africa.
But you see,
I don't think he wants that job now. I think he wants to win something.
South Africa is in the golden age when it comes to managers, when it comes to good league. It's always difficult to figure out why and how they can crack
Let me tell you why. It is because for many years, the players who do well in the league are not the players they select for their national team.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So you've got star players in the Chiefs, Pirates, and Sundowns, and whatever, Super Sport. Those players never get picked. They pick other players, right? They pick their players because sometimes they feel that some of the players are not even ready to play for the national. They think that it's not worth it playing for the South African national team. So they pick players who they used to deem as being committed. It's now that things are changing. It's now that they found a crop of Sundowns players who want to play. And in the last few years, they've had these like good youngsters coming through. So if you look at South Africa's under 20, it looks really nice. The under 23 looks really good. It's now that the players are beginning to think that, okay, look, if I play for my country, it looks really fashionable, but it's never been there.
But also, not everyone in the South African Premier League is South African.
South African, yes. So some of the best performers,
they are Namibia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania.
They even have Colombians
and they have Brazilians as names. Well. You would easily pass them off for South Africans. So most of them too are not. So, I mean, for Mali
should be a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, for Mali,
they are missing Doucouré. Doucouré turned down because he wants to help Everton. I mean, I hear these stories, but you see, Doucouré has never been a pivotal player for Mali. And you see, Mali, I am expecting them to do something like what Senegal is doing, because they are also building their football, but you are not seeing the results.
Okay, so if I pinned you to the wall and I asked you, for a country like Mali whose progress is spoken of, what do you think will be success for them in this competition?
Round of 16.
No. Round of 16.
Yeah, because seriously, like Safo said, we are not feeling the impact of the project, the Malian project going on, like the Senegalese project.
So you say round of 16. Safo, for you, what will be success for Mali?
Success is they should be in they are good enough to be in the semi-final.
So semi-final.
Last four.
All right. Let me read a couple of messages. Solomon from Dansoman says, you want to find out if Kudus will play in the next game or not. We'll find out from Coach Chris Hughton. He knows what's happening. Bashiru Boga is watching us from Garuti Mpane, and you're happy with that. Gabriel Langa, he says Mauritania will surprise Burkina Faso today. It's possible. Yes. It is the AFCON. Yes, every now and again we'll get crazy results. May it not be your team.
It has already been my team.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, Edmond Sednam. Thank you, Kwame Safo. Thank you out there for watching. This has been another exciting episode of the AFCON Daily Show. We are back tomorrow with more to run the rule over everything that will happen to South Africa, to Tunisia, and all the other teams that will feature today. Remember, there's live commentary for that game involving Mali and South Africa live on Citi 97.3 FM later this evening. So tune in and listen if you are somewhere in town. We'll catch you tomorrow. Stay safe, take care, and keep watching Citi TV.